It's static.
We could start muting everyone and that noise will go away probably.
Recording.
That helped.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unity Center of West Lynn, Oregon. My name is Jim Lathrop, and I am your Sunday assistant for today. On behalf of our board and leadership team, we bless and welcome all of you who are a part of our community and those who have yet to discover our community. We are pleased to share our hearts together in the philosophy of unity. We believe that each of us dwells in and as spirit, and each of us is here today by divine appointment. If you are new to Unity, or perhaps new to the Unity of West Lynn, we lovingly invite you to our website, www.worldhealing.org. Again, that's www.worldhealing.org for more information on our center. And if you wish to sign up for our weekly digital e-news and for more information, activities and classes, you may do so at that website. You can also find replays of our recent services on YouTube, youtube.com, by searching under West Lynn Unity Center. Again, for going to youtube.com, type in West Lynn Unity Center, and our past services will appear. We are very pleased today to have as our guest speaker Jan Carothers, who will be giving our opening prayer.
Let's know together. Unmute. Let's know together that this is the day that God has made. This is the day that we live fully and completely in our awareness of our connection, of our internal, eternal spirit. We expand our hearts, our views, our joys, our willingness. In this space today, in community, we know that where two or more are gathered together, all things are possible. And when we know that we are speaking to the divine in our very hearts, all things are possible. And so we open this service today, this very special, playful service, with a spirit of good humor, open-heartedness, open-mindedness, and a willingness to be everything that we ever imagined that we might or could be. I speak my word for healing, for health, for joy, for peace, for a time when we can allow ourselves to continue to grow and encompass one and all. This earth is a giant heart. This world, this universe is unlimited, and we give thanks. And so it is.
Thank you, Jen. And before we begin our announcements, we'll read today's daily word, which is appropriately titled Togetherness. And the mission statement will come after the daily word. While I treasure my times of quiet and solitude, I also look forward to enjoying the company of family, friends, and members of my faith community. Whether we're working, volunteering, praying, or simply enjoying one another's company, our shared experiences allow me to support people I care about and feel supported in return. I enjoy and value togetherness throughout every season of my human journey. During times of trial, hardship, or grief, being in the company of friends and family helps comfort me and help keep me strong. Likewise, during times of celebration, being in the company of others multiplies my joy. In times of togetherness, may the love, peace, and comfort and joy of God bless us all. And now we'll read our mission statement. And you can say it along with me if you like. Our mission is the Unity Center is a ministry where people of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs celebrate the one common spiritual thread that lives in every heart. Okay, we have a couple of brief announcements. First and foremost of which is the ongoing class, which is entitled Living Unity in Turbulent Times, begins today at 12 noon. And Sharon, I believe you have the meetup, there it is, the meetup link site. Do copy those numbers down. It's not the same number that you used to log into this service. So get a pencil and paper and copy that meeting ID number down. It will also appear again at the end of the service. If you missed the first session, which was last week, it's not too late to join. It's a marvelous class, which by all reports, by those who attended last week, is very lively and interacting and inspiring. So please do join us at noon for Sandra Combs' class, Living Unity in Turbulent Times. All right. I'm sorry, I got the order of service a little mixed up, and it's time to read the daily word. But I beat you all to the punch. So anyway, we'll bring up some music and called Call the Llamas by Greg Tamblyn, who is with us.
Call the llamas. I saw a little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store today. Call the llamas. He was sitting like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. His mom and dad preoccupied with paying for their food. They could not see him smile at me with calm beatitude. Call the llamas. I saw a little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store today. Call the llamas. like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. Then suddenly in front of me I saw three little girls, their mother bagging groceries while around her feet they swirled. Their peals of laughter silenced as they all looked up to see little Buddha smiling at them beatifically. He leaned down toward them, holding all them in a state of bliss. Then one by one they each received his transcendental kiss. Ooh, call the llama. I saw little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store today. Call the llama. He was sitting like a prince in his grocery cart with a perfect smile on his face. Call the llama. I saw little Buddha in the checkout line at the grocery store.
Take a bow, Greg. Thank you for that wonderful music, and it's a wonderful lead-in to our speaker today. Most of you know Jan Carothers, has been a longtime member of the church, longer than most of us. And we are extremely happy to have her with us as one of our leading spiritual leaders and longtime supporter of the Unity Center of West Lynn. In her professional life, Jan is a trainer, speaking coach, facilitator, and platform speaker. She speaks for us about once a month, and along with our entire service team, she has been responsible for designing and producing our Sunday celebrations. Since we went online in mid-March, her efforts in putting together these digital services has been tantamount to all of our enjoyment of the services that we have each Sunday. So thank you for that, Jen. Her topic today is, it's time to play. Really?
It's a little video. Let's hear it for the video makers and the graphic designers at Unity. Yay! For our wonderful theme this year, seeing through a spiritual lens. So, I know you've already been introduced to Greg Tamblyn, but I do want to so happily introduce him. He's my longtime, very fun mastermind partner. And for those of you who don't know, he lives about 30 minutes from Unity Village in Kansas City. And he's one of my favorite New Thought musicians. And I liked him even before I knew him. So he's just been great and generous, and we're going to hear something else from him as well. So, remember when you were a kid? Yep. Get a good picture of you sometime when you were a kid. And maybe you were feeling a little bored, and it just took a very few minutes, and then you stumbled on a box, maybe a wooden box, or a packing crate, or even a cigar box, or some other interesting thing, or an odd tool, or an empty ledger book, or a wonderful rock, or a shell, and suddenly your imagination takes off, comes roaring awake with a flood of simple thoughts, which spur some very interesting and powerful questions in that young brain of yours. What could this be? What could I do with this? What would this feel like? What could I make this into? Those are the questions that put us into an imaginary place that is just waiting for you to give it a name, a context. Who knows what those things become? And then suddenly, if you can remember, time blurs out and you're just in a wonderful state called flow. Or more commonly, you might call it simply playing. But the funny thing is, playing is almost like a waking dream. You know, when you get one done with one activity, it suddenly becomes another one, and you might go in a different direction, and you're suddenly drawn or piqued, and your interest in your images change, and they easily transmute time and space. Don't you think that's a good thing to experience now and again? And I have to confess to you something. Last week, when I was doing the themes for last week's service on Sunday, I looked at Unity and I said, gosh, it's July already and I haven't even looked at July's theme. And I said, what is it? And it said, I play. And I said, really? Oh my gosh, I'm not feeling it. I'm not ready for it. Not interested in it. So after the service on Sunday, wouldn't you know, and sadly, Reverend Julie got a call that somebody dear to her, a family friend in Idaho, had passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. And she was scheduled to speak this week. So we called Christine to see if she could change schedules. She couldn't, and so I said I would be happy to do it. I answered Nancy's request. And I thought, okay, God, I guess this is a sign. We're all the way in the 19th of July. We probably ought to honor the Unity theme. So here I am, the one who is not feeling play, talking about play today. So, and if you're like me, maybe your rational mind has come back into your adult self and you're saying, oh yes, I know, my highly educated mind is saying, of course, I know that play is important. I know that it's an important, fun thing for me to do. It's good for balance. And I know that engaging my imagination will give me some vibrant experiences. But frankly, Jan, I just don't have time. I'm sorry. Maybe none of you are like that, but sometimes my mind does that. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about benefits, and then the second thing we're going to do is talking about some fun, having some fun, finding some more ways to engage that flow part of our brains. Frankly, that's one of the reasons that I called upon Greg's music, because his music is the most fun I know. And I went looking through all the new thought sages, and I didn't find that many that were funny. So I'm grasping amongst all the wisdom of the worlds that I have found in this last week. But if you're like me also, you may find a glimmer, a little spark of excitement when I talk about playing, when I talk about the spirit of playfulness and the power in that spirit. It's kind of like I know that there's capital T truth here, and I probably need to listen up. Part of me goes down kicking, though, and I say, oh, the only time I think about my inner child is when I'm talking about therapy. But no, really, there's no time. That child is always, always present. That child is not gone. And in fact, that adult is pretty darn funny. I still say, but I just don't have time. Isn't that funny? Here we are in the time of the world where we probably have the most time available to us forever. That all it takes for one to play and to remain at play for an extended period of time is willingness. As adults, we don't need anyone's permission but our own. But for some of us, that wholehearted, honest, genuine willingness is kind of hard to get. I know you've heard it from childhood. You fill in the blanks here. All work and no play makes blank a dull blank. Does it sound familiar? Yeah, right. Check yourself to see if you've been feeling a bit dull lately. Well, it's understandable. I mean, the state of the world, truly understandable. But if we're not careful, all we'll see is the somber side of our lives. And even at our worst and our scariest, it seems impossible to squelch the waves of divine humor that keep pouring out of us. In the early months, it all seemed to be about toilet paper, didn't it? And then after a while, it became more about needing GPS to get from room to room, and about pounds and refrigerators and pajama bottoms and boredom. But even in the worst times, I think it's really important for us to listen to that very good old advice. It says, take life seriously, but ourselves lightly. And still, the seasons are here. And they're here to remind us of the changeability and yet the universality of it. The siren call of summer. And while the conflict of the two, the seeming confluence, may befuddle us a bit, renewing our spirit of play is essential to fully express our complete, authentic self. Through that, we endeavor to keep our consciousness at the highest level. And that spirit is our true nature, our territory, our home. And the key aspects of being alive are love, joy or bliss, and wisdom. And our connection to those qualities are what determine how we respond to what happens to us. And I know you know the old wisdom. He and she who laughs lasts. Right? So, how do we stay tuned to those finer, higher frequencies of the infinite? There's two ways. One is to seek love, bliss, joy, and wisdom, that deep knowledge of life. And we will not just quest, but we will realize the truth. That's one way. However, there's a second and perhaps more effective, if also not a little demanding, path. And that path is to live in as love, joy, bliss, and wisdom, as if you are now, knowing now, living now. I know you've heard about the two goldfish who were talking with each other about this amazing, life-giving substance, water, and wondering how they could get some. So they devoted their whole lives to seeking water. Now, unlike the fish, we know that we're swimming in infinite bliss. But sometimes we forget, don't we? So, like our center, everything has had to either go digital or go down. So the Buddhist retreat centers that I sometimes follow have been doing their meditation and yoga retreats online. And some devotees have actually discovered that doing home sessions provided a great opportunity to make vivid all the mystery and the energy that comes from staying put. So have you explored staying put lately? Like the endless opportunity it is? So what makes play so spiritual, huh? Well, it calms us down, mostly because we stop thinking about our worries. And when we're walking and running and rambling and dancing and cooking and creating and simply gazing, we often lose touch with time. And we slip into the infinite, like an oasis for the soul. Age drifts away, and we rest in the heart and mind of God. You discover and realize deep joy. I think find your bliss is code, and it's code for living in the divine. So I'm paraphrasing the book of John, which I rarely do, but once in a while I find something, and it is a merry heart is like a medicine. We can use that medicine. And whatever our age, it's time for one of us, every one of us, to awaken and reactivate or further indulge our spirit, our playful, silly selves, to use our divine creativity to consciously live in this perfect moment of now. Play lightens us up. And I'm looking for it to quickly show up on my bathroom scales. But no one can make us play. That's up to us. Wise souls from every walk of life have been telling us all along. George Bernard Shaw, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Mark Twain, work consists of whatever a body is obliged to do. Play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. But then he goes on to say, work and play are two words used to describe the same thing under differing circumstances. I had an experience like that when I was a kid. You ever notice when kids get included in what grown-ups do for what they think is work? Mostly, it's utter joy for the kids. Work and play merged for me a lot when I was growing up. My dad was a dentist. We lived on Mount Hood. We built a home. We cleared some land. And he had bought a D8 tractor. For those of you who know anything about tractors, that is a big, honking, regular tractor. And it broke, and he had to fix the track mechanism. I was about 11 or 12, and he asked me, if I would help him fix it. All I had to do was really lift the track, and it was a very heavy linked iron affair, and I'd have to lift it up and hold it around, curved around, so he could work on replacing or connecting or rejoining it or some such. It was heavy and it was hard, and it took us a good while. While we were doing it, he told me stories. We laughed, we sweated, we got dirty, and it took a good while. And I had the best time. Now, did my dad and I fix the tractor? Well, I helped. I was the simplest of apprentices, but I got to play as I was learning to work. But you know, a lot of great work got done that way up on the mountain. Firewood stacked, rocks carried. A lot of people drove miles just to come up on weekends and play while working with us on our mountain home. And all of it, every bit of it, lives in my memory as the most playful, joyful time. And that's one of the indelible messages of Tom Sawyer. Whitewashing a fence can be plenty fun if the conditions are right. But really, when I said it's time to play, I wasn't just thinking of work tasks done happily. That's not what I'm talking about. It's time to play for real. Lighthearted fun, light on purpose, even light on mind challenges. And what do you think? What do you think when you think of play? You know, play for no reason, for just cause. It's not only good for our health and our humor, it's through that play that we connect with that deep joy and crazy wisdom. It's a gift to everyone around us. It's a gift to keep us in the present. And if we really give ourselves over to playfulness and humor, we might have so much fun that we forget our worries and our complaints and our upsets. And there's even an enticement from Charles Fillmore. This is one of his most widely known and beloved quotes at age 93, and it's a window into the man himself. I fairly sizzle with enthusiasm and spring forth to do what ought to be done by me. It's not an accident that he lived that long. So when it comes to thinking about play right now, anybody thinking a little bit self-judgment, question mark? But Jan, how can I be playing when there's so much work to do in the world and when others are working so hard and others are suffering? Okay, I'm not suggesting that you'll abandon your worldly and spiritual work that's yours to do. It's not going away. However, it's time to attend to your own favorite brands of play and activity so that you can express your life with the full, authentic self, your own inner wisdom and your own creativity. So there are sometimes, though, we find we have a little work to do to get to that point where we can renew our full-fledged youthful spirit. So there's 4 quick steps. The first one, each one of us simply needs to enroll ourselves in being willing to add more fun and good humor and playfulness intentionally in our lives. Second, we need to load up our fun box. This is the box or bag of ideas and toys that we can draw on when we're actually seeking something enjoyable to do right now. I'll tell you how in a little while, but I suggest that maybe you might want some paper or pencil or something to take a few notes with, because there's a lot. Third and most important, you have to give yourself permission. You're the only one who can do it. It's like you don't wait for the teacher to give you permission to go on recess. It's not just intellectual permission, by the way. It's real permission. Your friends might be calling out to you and offering you all manner of a Zoom happy hour or a creative craft session or something, but you have to give yourself permission to generate fun for no reason at all when you say so. And fourth and finally, be specific. When? Pretty soon isn't an hour on the clock. Some days, not a day of the week. Sometime never seems to come. The best time is now. And the second best time is a specific by when on the schedule, real valuable time, not pretend time or stolen time or put it off time, but real health-giving time. So here's some ideas. Make a date with yourself and keep your word. Get it on the calendar. Get it on the schedule to put on your shoes and walk out of the house. Maybe it's a bike or roller skates or the car. It's summer. A lot of what you can do inside, you can do outside in your yard, on your own patio. Put up a dartboard. Put up a Nerf ball basket. Get some sand and agates and clay and clear off a space for making something fun. Get out the Play-Doh. Dry some flowers. Certainly eat all your meals outside. Put on some music and get out your paints and pads and pastels. You can make art inside or outside, and making art is its own reward. Or just put on some tunes and rock out and sing along loudly. And you don't have to clean the house to justify it. Put on your favorite old CDs. Even better yet, get out your vinyl, all your faves. So now let me ask you a question, folks. How are you feeling as I'm talking? What's that still small voice telling you? Is it saying, watch out? Or is it saying, go for it, do it? You have to believe that God is calling you to play. If it weren't true, you wouldn't get such a feeling of wistfulness and longing when we start talking about the subject. And what are you waiting for? The gym teacher? An engraved invitation? And it's no one's opinion but yours. One person's work is another person's sandbox. It's all up to you. So when we aim for increasing our free-spiritedness, you can start small. You ever think kind of like, remember when you really were bored as a kid and you'd say, Mom, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. And then Mom would come up with all these ideas and you say, no, not that, not that. So I want to give you a suggestion as we go through a lot of these ideas, is that you listen to them with an open mind. Try not to be too analytical. Don't say, well, I don't think I could do that, or I don't want to do that. Oh, that wouldn't work for me. Try not to do that. Keep a brainstorming sort of perspective. Try, that's interesting. That makes me think of something else. And then you keep writing, right? Okay? Got the perspective? We got lots of ideas here. So here's the section on filling your fun box. Remember when I said that you had to fill it up? Well, have you gotten some ideas already so far? There's lots of things you could do. And the person who is the most creative is not me, but you. So one adventure that I highly recommend is to go through your home, if you have a house, your basement, and your garage, fun foraging. It's a silly scavenger hunt. And take a bag or a box, I used a laundry basket, and go through everything to find cool, fun things. But you do it in this way, not with your own eyes, who has lived with this stuff for a long time, but with the eyes of someone who's never been in your house and seen your stuff before. Or maybe a friendly alien who's visiting to find out what's cool here. So that, with that perspective, you try to imagine, what could this have been? Or what could we use it for? Or a myriad of ways you can look at all the wonderful things around you. And like Marie Kondo, only look for the things that spark fun and playfulness. And whenever you come with something interesting, move it from where it is. If you think it has some potential for fun, put it in your bag or box. And pick up each thing. If you don't know what it was used for, even better. So what are some of the things that I found as I went through my house? Well, I found my husband's brass horse. Remember, it's a piggy bank, but remember when you had a plastic horse and it took you riding everywhere in your life? So exciting. I found this totally wonderful thing. This is complete nonsense. This is for no purpose whatsoever. It's a magnet and it's got all these little wonderful things. Couldn't you play with that for a long time? I see it all the time. I forgot about it. I found this great shoe. It's covered with moss, lined with plastic. It's a planter. It's been in my window. It was a gift, and I completely forgot about it. But now I could have some real fun planting in it. You might find juggling balls. But if you're not a juggling type, maybe you would want to have a yo-yo instead, or two, so you can learn to juggle with anything. So many things. This is fascinating. I found this as well. Do you know what this is? Besides pretty, I've had this for the longest time. It sits in a vase, but what it's for is you fill it up with water and you put it in a plant like this, and it's a self-watering plant thingy. But I think it's just ought to be a magic wand, don't you? You know what I mean. And of course, because I am who I am and I have a lot of toys anyway, had a marvelous slinky. But you could get a slinky in any size. They are easily available, and I bet you still have some at home. Let's see, what else did I find? Oh, this is on my very desk. I see it all the time. And whenever I'm talking about not enough time or too much time, or actually when I'm talking to somebody I don't want to talk too much longer, look at this fun thing. You could stare at this forever, no drugs needed. And then when you're feeling a little punky, maybe you should have a super squeeze toy to take care of the stress. Oh, I'm looking at so many things. Oh, Unity. This is from Unity. These are intentional dice. And I got them in our bookstore this year. And I look at them because they're pretty. But do I remember to play with them? No. So I'm going to start doing that. And everybody needs slider toys. This is going to meld into the next thing. But the second adventure I recommend is that you take a trip or send someone for you with $10 to the dollar store. You can get an endless amount of silliness and fun for $10 at any dollar store. And of course, you need to have jewels. Jewels by themselves, your own jewelry box, is totally fun. And the tools in your garage, equally fun. But you could have one of these. Aren't you jealous? Okay, there's so many other things. Oh, one more thing. I got myself this at the dollar store. Can you see it? Girl Boss, right? But I didn't feel quite good about having it alone, so I got one for my husband that says, I'm kind of somebody big. Or I'm kind of somebody special. The pièce de résistance out of my home search is this. Do you know what this is? This is a head scratcher. It's kind of an intimate thing. It is really weird, but it feels really good. It feels really good. And you too probably have one floating around. Then you could also do something like this. You should have one of these. You can play with this all by yourself, or you can treat it like a ball. Now, speaking of a ball, all you need is a ball, and you've opened up hours of potential. If you're alone and you have a house, you could go out on your driveway and bounce the ball, a tennis ball, all kinds of balls, against your garage and play all by yourself. You can do so many things. So I am going to move away from the tour here. I do suggest, though, that you clean out a drawer, not because it needs it, but because it is inevitably filled with some of the strangest, most wonderful things that you never use but cannot throw away. Witness this. How many of you have a spinner? Probably everybody has encountered a spinner, and there's just something, you cannot throw these away. So you probably have to start playing with it. So let's talk about a few other things. You've got, for real, musical instruments. And for those of you who don't, get a kazoo. Go out in the yard and hug a tree. Seriously, There's benefit in it. It gives you full body contact. And some of us are missing that these days, no hugs. And at the same time, it allows you to commune with some of the most important living beings on our planet, the beings that give us oxygen. So, hugging a tree. And you don't even have to go in your craft room, but if you do have a craft room or a craft drawer, there's so many things. There's paint and paper and scissors and magic markers and puzzles and all kinds of things. And clearly, I'm a believer that God made glue. The wonders of glue: rubber cement, Elmer's glue, glue sticks, super glue, and flour and water paste for paper mache. And I haven't even mentioned duct tape, newspapers and origami paper and rice paper and magazines to tear up and fabric and thread. And of course, they go without saying. Now, I have a friend who's an artist and a writer, and she's written a poem a day for the pandemic. 120 poems and photo collages. She has a door in her apartment that she covers with butcher paper, and she turns it into a collage a week or so. She's on collage 8. They're beautiful. And of course, I have skipped one of the most obvious ones, the brilliant, passive, yet transportive activity called reading. And reading opens up the entire world for us. How many of you can remember your first experiences of reading under a blanket with a flashlight? Something when your folks told you just had to go to bed. So I came upon this poem from our great New England poet, Emily Dickinson, who never left her home, her childhood home. Let's start again. He ate and drank the precious words. His spirit grew robust. He knew no more that he was poor, nor that his frame was dust. He danced along the dingy days, and this bequest of wings was but a book. What liberty a loosened spirit brings. And that's what our time together here is about. It's helping us loosen our spirits. Now, we haven't even really touched on the spiritual qualities of humor and playfulness. But in every great tradition, there is one or more great humorous teachers and carriers of truth. There's always Coyote, there's Nasruddin, there's St. Francis and his Order of Jesters of the Lord. Did you even know about them? Zen masters, Tao sages, Hasidic storytellers, Christian mystic storytellers, clowns, and performance artists. And they are all, in their way, prophets. And what they are calling us to do is encouraging ourselves not to take ourselves too seriously. They tell us that what we know is not worth knowing, and what's worth knowing cannot be known through our ways. To our sensible selves, they seem silly, their actions are shameless, even shocking, but they have a really important role in our spiritual life. They carry the banner for the spiritual practice of play. 3 of Shakespeare's best characters are fools: Feste in Twelfth Night, and Touchstone in As You Like It, and King Lear's Fool. And they're all about crazy wisdom, somewhere between the wise and the foolish. So you want to not get too, I'm so spiritual, I can't have any fun, because it just goes against tradition. So back to some other ideas. Practice by doing doing things on the spur of the moment. When somebody offers, just say yes. Take a time to experiment. Try on different parts and relax and laugh at jokes and find jokes and try jokes. And you alone are the person who can define play for you. But it's a little bit like that old definition of obscenity. I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. So play. So find ways to play. And it doesn't take fancy equipment. It doesn't take fancy supplies. Some of the best playing can be done with none. Have you got a yard? Have you got a sprinkler? Can you run or walk through it? Or better yet, get a wading pool and get yourself an umbrella and some lemonade and a magazine and sunscreen. I saw on the Unity site there's a beautiful Color Your Zen coloring book with daily word affirmations. Then there's chalk and there's jump ropes and there's skipping and there's balls and flowers and bees and bugs and berries and pails and rocks and caves and boxes. And I could go on and on and on. But wherever you are, they're just a short ways away. And all the way, by the way, always jump in the puddles. Always skip along the flowers. The only fights worth fighting are the pillow and food varieties. So we know we're having authentic fun when time seems to disappear. We're fully present. We're experiencing awe and wonder and delight. We're open to endless possibilities and curious to explore them. We feel free from self-consciousness and external judgments. We feel creative and imaginative, and we connect with others in the heart space. We have a sense of joy and belonging to something much greater than ourselves. So find a way to do spiritual, playful show and tell. Clear off some space and start to make some kind of new adventure. I was down at the post office and I saw a beautiful little shiny black car, and somebody had completely decorated the outside of this car with architectural pieces and flowers and jewels, and it was gorgeous. I'm only sorry I didn't take a picture to show you. I kept looking at it and I thought, I wish I could share this. I forgot I had a camera. So somebody had obviously been playing in their garage for quite a while, and it was so artful. But not everything needs to be artful. Some of it needs to be nonsense for no reason at all, completely crazy. So that's where you take that stuff out of the drawer and all that odd stuff you might have thrown away and glue it together and make some crazy art. Make something that matters not to anybody at all, but you and the doing of it. So I wanted to tell you something about the crazy art that I think Greg Tamblyn brings us, just because it opened a possibility for me. He has a website, by the way, that is about jokes and jokes for a day, and he has a newsletter, and you can go on it, gregtamblyn.com. He invented Milk Snort, which is a joke party game, and he has it in beautiful shiny laminated cards, but he also has it at a special reduced pandemic price online. You can get it as a PDF. I've taken it to beach retreats with girlfriends. I've had the best time with it. 100 really good jokes. The thing, what he discovered was it's not that people don't know how to tell jokes, they just don't have good jokes at their immediate fingertips. So he's used it for holidays, and I think you would enjoy it as well. So there is an endless number of things that we could be talking about. But I want you to know, you don't have to be funny to have humor. All you have to do is just open your eyes, look at the world, and notice what makes you smile. Suddenly you see with love just how funny we all are. You don't have to hear something funny to laugh. You can just laugh. There are laughter clubs. You can give yourself a 5-minute a day laughter break. I also suggest if you give yourself that much time, you at least turn on the music for at least a minute and have a rock out dance break as well. You just go and practice prayer. I said prayer. I meant prayer and play at the same time. You can give yourself some reminders. You can give yourself a clue. When you hear someone laugh, you can use it as a clue to practice play. You can, every time you walk by a swing set, you can remind yourself that all ground is playground. And you can cultivate friendships with people who make you laugh and then call them up and keep funny books around you wherever you have a few minutes. And work on stand-up material. Work on writing a joke. Some people might even want to write parody lyrics and learn some songs. And you should definitely check out Greg's CDs too, because one of my favorite songs. Maybe we won't hear it this week, but we'll hear it sometime. But you want to check out Analog Brain in a Digital World. So I know that most of you have a daily spiritual practice. I'm inviting us to add to it a play practice. You can do your play practice any way you want. Some of the ideas that we've mentioned, some of your own favorites. You might want to advance to what you'd call crazy wisdom and trickster storytelling and humor and improvisation classes. You can do those online now. Cooperative games, fools, festivals, and so much more. Last week, Reverend Julie ended her talk by asking us every morning to ask for a blessing. And I'm suggesting that we, every morning, as long as we're doing that, ask for a laugh, ask for a joy, and say in your prayer, "Blessed is the giver of life, who has provided play as a way to celebrate the lightness of our being." And remember, life is too short to have everything be so dramatic. The world does need us at our most vibrant and best self, and we all need each other. So let's not waste a year of this pandemic, which it may turn out to be, by being bored or grumpy or resigned or distant or anything else from our most authentic, lovely self. Let's use it for all it's worth. Let's get some positively memorable, lovely, spontaneous fun and report it back to all of us. Thank you. So let's close our eyes together and know that there is only one life, and that life is so good. That life is God. That life is eternal. It is endless. It is beauty and joy and bliss. It is wisdom and peace and kindness. And in that spirit, as we see every person and we look in every pair of eyes, we see the light and the laughter and that little Buddha in the grocery store. And with that, I give thanks, and so it is. I'm really excited that we get to hear and see, because it's a new video. The music that's coming up to follow this is called All These Atoms by Greg and a friend of his, David. It's coming. I'm unmuted again.
You breathe out, I breathe in. We're sharing molecules again. Oxygen and hydrogen. But do you know where your atoms have been? Parts of me were once in you. Genghis Khan and Hitler too. Jesus Christ and dinosaurs. Princess Diana, Dinah Shore. All the atoms everywhere circle back so we can share. No escaping, yes it's true. Parts of me were once in you. My whole body, smooth and hairy, is really very temporary. Every year a new epidermis. Maybe next year's will be firmer. There's some atom somewhere in Spain I could use back in my brain. They stay a while and then they leave. They only fit what we conceive. All the atoms everywhere circle back so we can share. Like some ever-changing groove, parts of me are now in you. As hard as it might seem to be, parts of you were once a tree, once a fish in the primal soup. Something's dinner, something's poop. 15 billion years ago, the Big Bang was quite a show. All this time and now here we are. Parts of you were once a star. All the atoms everywhere circle back so we can share. No escaping, yes it's true. Parts of me were once in you. All the atoms here on earth get recycled, death to birth. Like some ever-changing groove, parts of me are now in you. All these atoms we've collected only mean that we're connected. Since we share what we're made of, don't you think that calls for love?
I love that. So, this is the time in our service when we have an opportunity to give. And I wanted to do the offering with a little story, which I just dropped. So, once upon a time, there was a minister who was preoccupied with thoughts about how he was going to ask the congregation to come up with more money than they were expecting for the repairs to the church building. Therefore, he was annoyed when he had to find out that the regular organist was sick that Sunday and a substitute had to be brought in at the last minute. The substitute wanted to know what to play. Well, here's a copy of the service, he said impatiently, but you'll have to think of something to play after I make the announcement about the finances. So, during the service, the minister paused and said, "Brothers and sisters, we are in great difficulty. The roof repairs cost twice as much as we expected, and we need $4,000 more. Any of you who can pledge 100 or more, please stand up." At that moment, the substitute organist played the Star-Spangled Banner. The little coda to that is that is how the substitute organist became the permanent organist. Seriously, at this time, this is the opportunity for us to give, to share, to continue to support the Unity Center of West Lynn and all the good work that we do, the tithes that we give. As you see on the screen, and as you know, there's multiple ways to give. And so we'll have that up at the end as well. All of you are such dedicated members and contributors, and we truly, truly are grateful. So let us turn to our offering prayer as we say together, the light of God, God's love in me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And with that, I turn it over to Jim.
That inspiring message. And you all know that I know how to play. And so I think playing is obviously an important part of a full life. So we thank Jan and Greg all the way from halfway across the country. Thank you, Greg, for joining us. And everyone who participated today, as well as our board members and volunteers who participate in so many important, creative, and loving ways to sustain the Unity Center, especially now in this exceptional time. We bless all the members of our community, those here and those who couldn't be with us. Reach out in kindness and love this week. We warmly invite you to return. Same meeting ID number as you typed in this morning to join us for today. If this service has been uplifting for you, please invite your friends and family. We'll be here at the same Zoom link, which you can pass on to others. You can view services again and catch any of that you may have missed on youtube.com and under the West Lynn Unity Center title. So go to that website, go to worldhealing.org for 24-hour prayer support to go with www.silentunity.org and www.unity.org for inspiring spiritual resources for your life today. We invite you to join us again every week. Next week, July 26th, Reverend Christine Green and of her Sacred Heart Ministries and the New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. Her title is Calling All Hearts. That ought to be interesting. She'll be speaking about how to be open-hearted in those challenging times to move beyond fear. And the following week, we will look forward to hearing another memorable message from Reverend Julie Applegate, our new transitional minister. Also, after today's service, Jan Carothers will be staying with us online for coffee and questions. It's a chance to connect, share thoughts and humor, and make plans for when we are going to add some more play to our lives. Those of you who plan to participate in Sandra Cohn's class, Living Unity Today in Today's Tumultuous Times, please do come back at 12 noon and sign in again with the class link. That will be posted again here at the end of the service. Again, it's open to everyone. Just go to the web link and that will be on the on-screen after the service. Or in your own e-news this week, again, be sure to check your e-news. And if you're not getting it, please communicate that via email to Sharon and get you back on the list again. Okay. We are going to symbolically, virtually blow out the service candle. So merrily take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Okay. The light, we do know that the light never goes out because we know the light never goes out because we are the light. And now for the prayer of transformation. The light of God is in us. The love of God moves through us. The power of God transforms us. The presence of God is who we are. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well. Okay, we're going to